Hey, this is Life with Sean Renee here, back with another video. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This video is about starting life over at 28 years old. Let's watch the video.
Okay, so as promised, here's my story time about how I started my life over at 28. So let's take it back to last October. I was supposed to get married, and 5 days before my wedding, my then fiance, now ex, came home and told me, I don't love you, I can't marry you, we just act like friends, marriage is forever and you're not my forever. And then took our dog and left. So I'm sure that our mutual friends and his friends are gonna have a lot of feelings about what I'm gonna say in this video, but if you have a problem with it, cry about it somewhere else. This is my truth and I'm gonna tell my story exactly the way that I feel about it, and I'm not here to protect anybody else's feelings about it. So he says all of these things to me, right? Naturally, I call my dad, I ugly cry, I hyperventilate, I can't even function, right? Because what do you mean we're not getting married in 5 days? We have a wedding that we just paid 50 grand for to have. We have people coming in from all over the country to be here for this wedding. And so I am absolutely losing my mind. And my stepmother is in the background calling my sister, who is calling my friends, to come to my house to make sure that I'm okay. And now, mind you, my best friend is in Queens, so she's like an hour away. My sister's in Jersey, so she's 2 hours away. And they come rushing to the rescue. God bless those girls. Love you guys. Thank you for being there for me in all the chaos. By the time they get to my house, I have reached a level of dissociated psychosis, right? I'm ripping pictures off the walls. I am planning my new life. I am having just a complete meltdown in the middle of my house. And now, mind you, we had all of this wedding stuff everywhere, right? So when my sister gets there, she's like trying to hide the wedding stuff. I am just losing my mind. I'm telling them what happened. I'm telling them about how he just looked at me and said all of these things. And they're like, didn't you try and fix all of that? And didn't he assure you like it would get fixed? And then it never did. And I was basically just like, yeah. And so my sister ends up staying over that night, and we talk about what I'm gonna do next, and I kind of make a list of places that I think I wanna live, and I had, this idea that I was gonna go to Nashville if something ever happened or if I ever ended up single again, and that's exactly what I did. That's where I am now. That's where I decided to start my life over. But we were just kind of talking about what came next, right, and what I was gonna do, and how everything in my life that I thought that I wanted, and I thought that I needed, and I thought the direction it was going, maybe that wasn't what I needed or where I should be going, right? Maybe I was just checking boxes, get engaged, buy a house, have a wedding, get a dog, right? All these things that you think, and that as millennials, we've been coached to feel like we absolutely have to have and we have to do to have this false identity of the American dream. And I was just in go mode, right? Like, my answer to chaos and crisis is always to fix, problem solve. I am not the kind of person who continues to just wallow in it or sit in it or even really feel it. I just have to continue moving. Once something happens, I have to be the problem solver. I have to find out what's next. And so that's exactly what we did. And I remember laying in my bed with her that night, and it was like being little kids again. It was this weird kind of surreal feeling of me and my sister in my bed with my 2 cats. And we were talking about how, you deserve more than breadcrumbs of happiness in your life. And when you haven't had a lot of happiness in your life, or you've had a harder life, which we have, breadcrumbs can feel like a loaf of bread, right? Especially in the beginning. And that's exactly what my ex did to me. In the beginning, he pretended to be this person that he really, really wasn't. He was this person who loved the front bottoms and who liked to play Monopoly and who had all the same interests as me. And as our relationship went on, that just turned out to be like fully untrue. That man hates the front bottoms, okay? Which is a cardinal sin. The front bottoms are life. We love them, all right? Brian Sella is a god. And he doesn't like to play Monopoly, and he doesn't enjoy board games, and all these things that we did in the beginning that made me fall in love with him turned out to be just things that he was pretending to be. This person that he was pretending to be. And so it took a long time for me to figure that out. And even when I started to notice it, I brushed it under the rug because I had invested all of my 20s in this relationship. From 23 to almost 28, I had given my all to this relationship. I'd given it all to his friends and his life and the way that he wanted to live and the things he wanted to do. And it was hard. I lost myself in that. I went from this really spunky, fun, crazy, sporadic, rough around the edges kind of person to this wannabe banker's wife, like this person that I just didn't recognize anymore when I looked in the mirror. And it's funny because one of my very bestest friends of my whole life said to me after we split, maybe a week after, he said, when you were with him, you were a duller, stiffer, more boring version of yourself with him. And it wasn't my place to say anything because you looked so happy on the outside. He said, but I've known you your whole life. He said, and you just didn't really feel like you anymore, and you finally feel like you again. And so in that week following our breakup, I learned so much about myself and about the way that people had been perceiving me and the way that I had changed over those years that I was with him. And it's so strange to me because as I look back on it now, I can kind of see all the pieces that I lost along the way and the way that I was changing while I was with him. And I couldn't see it then. And so the next morning after he left, my sister and I were sitting on my couch eating egg sandwiches, and I just kind of turned and looked at her and I was like, you know that feeling when you wake up the very first day in your new apartment and there's like a way that the light feels and the energy feels and everything in the room feels and it's all new? And she was like, yeah. I said, that's exactly what this feels like right now. That's the feeling that I have in my whole body right now. And I don't know what I'm going to do next yet, but I don't think that this is a bad thing. And, she kind of just looked at me and said, Kayla, this is something that is really hard to go through, but that I think is going to be better for you in the long run, especially because this man could not take care of himself at a base level. He was hospitalized multiple times for dehydration because he literally would not drink water for weeks on end and then end up sick. He would not wash the bottoms of his feet or brush his teeth for days on end. And we had plenty of other issues aside from that, but he really stopped taking care of himself and expected me to take care of him. And then when I would try to, I was negging and I was bossy and why am I always on him about things? And it just got to the point where there were so many moments in our relationship where I thought that I should leave, I should just run away. And then I felt like I couldn't because I was, again, checking all of these boxes. And there were all these expectations from his family and my family and our friends and both of our parents and everybody that we were this ideal couple on the outside. And we were doing all the things we were supposed to do. And we were breaking generational curses. And I was marrying the good guy. But really, I was just giving up myself to some non-existent dream that I never really had in the first place. And so the day that I was supposed to get married, I ended up throwing a house party at our house that we owned together. And all of my friends came and all of our mutual friends who were supposed to be friends of both of ours who kept saying, oh no, we're always going to be there for you. Some of them I'd known since I was 16. I knew them longer than I knew my ex. They didn't show up. They weren't there for me. They clearly took a side. And then I come to find out that a lot of them are talking about me and that they're running their mouths behind my back and that they are saying things that they shouldn't be saying about me and things that are just fully untrue about me to each other. And I realized and remembered that this is a group of people who all sit together and then talk about each other the second someone leaves. And so in the wake of losing my 4-year relationship, my engagement, my wedding, I also lost some of my closest friends that I would have in that moment in my life called family. And I had this huge realization and wake up moment that those people, they weren't my family and they weren't really my friends. They were his friends. And so the people who really pulled through for me were the people who I loved the most and who were just always there for me and always on my side. And we had a dope house party. And we laughed it up, and I got 2 new tattoos that week from my bestie, who's a tattoo artist. We got, Ghost Malone and a really cool quote on my back. And I just started to try and find myself again. And then I picked up and I moved to Nashville, and I live in this beautiful apartment, and I'm starting my life over. And it's really, really, really fucking hard. It's really hard to start your life over at 28, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So if you're in that position and you're scared because you're 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and you're starting your life over, I get it. It's hard, but you're not alone. And I promise you it will be so worth it when you wake up in the morning and you look at yourself and you actually recognize who you are and who that person looking back in the mirror is at you. So all that to say, if you're thinking about starting over, I think it's for the better, and it's definitely been for the better for my life.
I am so sorry this happened to you, but at one point in my life, I had to start over too for other reasons, but it is hard to start over because you're so used to a certain way. I've never been married, but I've been in a relationship with someone for three years on and off, and I kind of knew how that felt. You feel like you're taking care of yourself. You can't, it's hard to like separate you from the person, and then you feel like if you don't take care of them, like you're gonna be shunned for it. So I know how you feel, and I know how that can be for anybody that has a breakup or anyone that's going through something that tragic. But I'm happy that you're able to move on and move up in life, and it is going to take time. It always does, but you remember to always have that self-love, always have those affirmations, because those are important for your life. Always tell yourself you're important and that you're enough every single day. I believe that you have to take it one day at a time. That's all you can do. Keep your family close and the people around you close. And the people that weren't your friends from before, they were never your friends, like you say. Now, if anybody's ever gone through something like this, comment below. Show love. This is Life with Sean Renee, and I'm out. Bye.